Welcome back to the internet. I hope you guys are ready for a good weekend. I mean, honestly, since I do this 7 days a week, I hardly ever pay attention to when the weekend rolls around anyway. I actually just barely found out that there's a holiday on Monday. Who knew? So let's get started. The coupon stack from hell that even extreme couponers would frown upon. So I was 18, working my first big girl job at your favorite very red retail store. I started in photo, but that went belly up about 3 months in. Surprisingly, I was offered a management position in guest service, front lanes. It basically meant I got 25 cents more an hour to do the same thing the big guys do for half the pay. But whatever, I liked my job and was pretty good at it. So I was in the office that had a one-way mirror type window, doing paperwork. The lane in front of the window had our new hire, Kelly. She was there for this exact reason. I look up from my work to check on her now and then. I see Kelly looking back and forth, kinda panicked, and I calmly walk out to see a metric F-ton of coupons stacked in front of her. Kelly tried to scan each one, some working, others not. The couponer lady, Paula, flips out each time one doesn't scan, screaming at this poor girl. "Just scan it right!" So, "I'm sorry ma'am, it's expired, it won't scan." "I'm sure there's some sort of override, just do it." "No ma'am, I honestly can't, it won't let me." I say, "Okay Kelly, I'll take over." "Ma'am, this is a large stack of coupons you have. The ones she can't scan are expired, and are manufacturer's coupons. There's genuinely nothing we can do with them, or they're ours, but they don't apply to your items." Says, "I'm pretty sure you're lying, but I have places to be. What about the rest?" Mind you, this was about 25 plus coupons at least. So me, looking through the massive pile, sorting expired and irrelevant coupons. "Okay ma'am, you have 3 valid coupons left. It brings your total to X." "You've got to be kidding. I double-checked each one of those coupons." So me, gesturing to both piles I made while sorting. "These are expired, many by quite a while. The other pile are the ones that don't even apply to any of your items. I know it's frustrating, but I have to follow policy, and not just for the store, but for the manufacturers." I'm pretty sure you know how she responded. "Ma'am, I am the manager. That's why I came out here to sort this out." "I don't believe you. You're just a kid. Give me the real manager." So me, gesturing to my name badge, I am indeed the manager of the front end. She doesn't know what our acronyms for managers are. "I don't want to be rude, but we cannot accept these coupons. I'll throw the expired ones out, but you can keep the others just in case they apply to other items in the future." She's, "Fine, just let me pay so I can leave. And keep your coupons. I'm never shopping here again." Aw, darn it. I finish the transaction, trash the whole mountain of coupons, and turn my newbie. I say, "This doesn't happen often." Half truth, but I don't want to spook her. "But if you ever feel sketchy about something like this or anything else, flip your light on and stall them. I'll run over right away, okay?" She nodded, and I gave a quick side hug and then a thumbs up. I believe she stayed there till the place closed down. Great gal. Of course her threat of never coming back was a lie. I saw Paula several times after, but never had to put her in her place again. She apparently followed the rules, after an 18-year-old told her about herself. I always think it's funny when, people just see coupons as, gift cards. It's like, well, if you have enough coupons, you can just pay with that. That's kind of funny. Just yesterday we had the story of, "You'll never get my business again," but they always come back. Tell me to call someone who cares? Don't mind if I do. I was at 1.1 of Best Buy's elite members. I've spent thousands there in a short period of time. I made one major return there and didn't think much of it. They didn't say anything other than they were sorry for selling me a defective TV. So fast forward 6 months. I picked up a new 4K monitor that had a pretty obvious defect immediately. Took it back the next day and they said they could not honor any further returns from me. Upon further prodding, I was told that they use a third party to track returns, and that I had gone over some preset dollar amount returning that TV, and they could not and would not budge, even after the guy at Geek Squad had in fact confirmed the monitor was bad. I escalate to the manager, and it goes like this. I say, "Who can I talk to about getting this return done?" The general manager just says, "No one." I say, "That's absurd. It's clearly defective, and I bought it yesterday. Can I exchange it at least?" He says, "No, nothing you can do." I say, "This seems pretty anti-customer. What's the next step here?" "You could try calling someone who gives a damn." I say, "I think I'll do that." I took out my phone and called Amex on speaker, since I paid for the monitor with it. Explained to the rep what was going on, and that the GM of the store could hear the conversation if they had any questions for him. The GM confirms his position, and Amex's response was an immediate $500 plus tax charged back to Best Buy. The GM's face went completely red with anger, and he went full rage mode yelling at me that I needed to leave and not come back. I just politely smiled and told him I only did exactly what he asked me to do. P.S. That third-party company is Retail Equation, and there are multiple class action lawsuits against them. Wow, what the heck? I didn't even know that stores had a limit on how much you could return to them, but I do know that Best Buy does a lot of shady practices ever since being kinda overthrown by Amazon. Alright, now let's read. I finally did it! So yesterday at about 2:30, I was shopping at my local smiley face box store. As I usually do, I stop and check their app to figure out what aisle stuff is on, since they did a reset a few months ago, and I haven't yet become accustomed to the layout. While standing in the aisle searching the app, I hear a very loud throat-clearing sound. It was at that point I knew I had my opportunity to try a new tactic. We all saw how verbally obscene I had been in the past. This time I was going to play nice. This lady didn't look like the stereotype Karen. She had red highlights and curly hair. Let's call her Kay. And to be open, I'm wearing a green shirt with a Minecraft creeper on it. Excuse me, hey. Her hand was on her hip, and her head was tilted in that I'm about to go off on you way that Karens get before threatening a manager. I say, yes? She says, I've been waiting here for 10 minutes. I cut her off mid-sentence. I felt a bit cheeky. I say, oh my goodness, I'm sorry you had to wait. Why didn't you get my attention sooner? Since you're here now, can you check the back for this Hamidic foot spa? The app said you had one in stock, but the slot is empty. She says, you're supposed to be helping me. I say, I am? Well, I guess I can go back with you to check. I'm not exactly sure how that would work, but I'm game. Excuse me? You're the one who works here. I say, pretty sure I don't. However, judging by your blue shirt, you're the employee I requested 15 minutes ago. Do you have any idea what it's like to wait that long for an employee? Then have them lie and say they don't work here? She says, I don't work here, dummy. What are you even talking about? I say, well, then why would you come up to a customer who is obviously waiting on somebody and then tell them you've been waiting for their attention for 10 minutes? She says, I didn't. I said, yes you did. Now don't lie to me twice. Do we need to get your manager up here? At this point, she lets out the loudest humph type sound and walks out mouthing something under her breath. I continue my shopping and ultimately checked out. Probably the most fun I've ever had diffusing a situation without the use of profanity, and without an actual employee getting involved. Ooh, I've never thought to try using the Karen move against them. I mean, if you're pushy enough, that's really all it takes. It must be submitted via email. So before I was a lawyer, I had an internship and was supervised under a man named Bob, who resented my continued existence in his department, and he saw me as dead weight. This is largely true of legal interns, who tend to create work rather than solve problems. However, Bob would give me half an assignment, refuse to clarify his instructions, and then sigh in exasperation when I wasn't able to literally read his mind or solve the issue. If I suggested another or a different way to do something, he would dig in his heels just for the sake of doing so, even on things where taking a hard stance made no sense. One day, I was assigned to send a large volume of files to the company's outside lawyer. After gathering documents from various company representatives, I realized that they were too voluminous to email. When I told Bob that I needed to put them on a flash drive, he snapped that they must be submitted via email today. I knew that our company would accept emails up to 30 megabytes from internal sources, but the server would reject anything external over 15 megabytes, and I suspected the law firm's servers were set up the same way. Bob wouldn't hear it. What are you talking about? I send huge files all the time. Just do it. Sure thing, Bob. I confirmed the email size limit with the law firm, then lovingly, painstakingly parsed out the files for individual emails. I waited until Bob was in a meeting and started shotgunning privileged/confidential email 1 of 47 messages to the firm and copying Bob. They emailed me in a panic, begging me to stop and telling me that the flash drive would be great. I told them that, per Bob, the messages must be emailed. Bob eventually sent a very terse reply, instructing the firm to send a courier over so that the flash drive could be picked up. Man, I've read so many stories like this now. Really it just comes down to the saying, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Now, so far all of the stories have been fairly short, but we got a pretty long one now. Entitled Mom Tries to Steal My Game Console for Her Son. So this story takes place a few years ago in a mall quite far from my hometown. A little backstory. My dad loves everything retro. He's always blasting old music, quoting old movies, but most of all, he loves old retro video games. He talked a lot about his off-brand gaming console his dad got him as a kid, and at the time he didn't understand it was cheap and off-brand, but he loved it so much. Since he was young and the console was not Nintendo, Sega, or a well-known company like that, he didn't remember the name of it, and couldn't find it at any store even with the description he gave. I, like my father, love video games. I mostly play new, next-gen games, but I still appreciate the old stuff. I wanted to buy either an Xbox or PS4. Either one I bought was going to be so expensive, and I wanted to get one cheap. I decided to use Craigslist and searched up video game consoles just to see which consoles I could get a better price for. While scrolling through, I noticed some retro stuff, and I got thinking, maybe someone was selling the console my dad said he had as a kid. When I typed in the description, there it was. Someone had posted one that fit his description exactly. The guy was selling it for about $75. I messaged the guy and he seemed pretty nice. We planned to meet at this mall near his town that was about a 45-minute drive away. He told me he wasn't sure if all the cords and stuff were there, and at the mall I could buy a wire if I needed one. I got to the mall and we set up the console in a cafe next to a GameStop. We set it up and it worked great and we made the deal. I'm not sure if this was the exact one my dad asked for, even though it was exactly what he described, but I knew he would be happy nonetheless. Before I started packing it up, I wanted to play a little. This is where the entitled mom of the story and her 8 or so year old son came up to me. The kid noticed the game I was playing and said it looked really fun. The entitled mom noticed me playing and walked over. "Hey, what game are you playing? Looks fun." I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure. I just bought this console." "How much was it?" I was like, "Well, I paid $75. She says, "Awesome. Did you get it at this GameStop?" She motions towards the store next to us. I was getting really weird vibes, even though nothing weird had happened in our conversation. I was like, "No, they probably don't sell it there. I got it from someone else." She got an angry look on her face. "Who did you buy it from?" I was like, "I got it off Craigslist." She says, "Not where. From who?" I say, "Why do you need to know?" She did not like that. She says, "Listen, I want to buy my son a console for his birthday, but the new ones are all just too expensive. We've been to 3 different stores and everything costs $300 or more, which is just crazy for a single parent to afford. I wouldn't expect a kid like you to understand. Now tell me who the person you bought it from was and give me their number. I want to see if they're selling another one." At this point, I just wanted out of the whole conversation. I wouldn't want the person who sold me this console to give my number out to random people, so I'm not going to give the entitled mom his number. I started packing up the console and keep the conversation going until all my stuff is packed so I can leave the cafe and get out of there. I say, "I don't think he has any more to sell. I used Craigslist to find one, so if you just open your phone and..." "What are you doing with the console?" I say, "I'm just putting it away." "Listen, let me just buy it from you. I need to get my son a gift and I don't have much time." She takes a step closer and I start to scoot backwards because I don't want anything to happen to the gift, and I hate when people are too close to me. It gives me anxiety. So when she grabs my arm, and I immediately pull away out of fear, letting go of the game, she grabs the game and moves it towards the other end of the cafe table so I can't reach it. She says, "Listen, I will pay you for it. My son's birthday was a few days ago, so I need this gift right now. I'm running out of time, so just listen to me." She pulls out her wallet, and I realize if I don't start being aggressive, she might take off with my dad's present. I stand up and reach to the other end of the table. I say, "Maybe you should have planned on getting a gift before your son's birthday, instead of trying to steal one from a stranger." She then snags the system from my hands and hands it to her son behind her so I can't get a hold of it. She says, "I'm not stealing it. I will pay you what you got it for." She forces 2 20s and a $1 bill into my hand, and then goes over to my bag to get the controllers and wires I had already put away. At this point, I'm furious. She's trying to pay me less than what I just paid for a console that they don't make anymore, and judging by the fact the Craigslist post was up for 6 months with no competition, it was safe to assume that this was the only way I could get this console for my dad's birthday. I go to the kid and take it back from him. I did it a little aggressively because everything was happening so fast and I panicked. The second I took the console back, the kid started crying, and now the entire cafe was watching. The mom spun her head around, saw her kid and her new audience of people. She says, "Why are you stealing my son's game?" She dropped the controllers and she ran over to her crying child. Later I found out that one of the controllers cracked when it fell. I say, "It's mine, not yours." She says, "I paid you for it, so now it's mine. Either you give me my money back or you can't have it." I pointed to the money she tried to give me that I placed on the table. I say, "Take it. I never agreed to give it to you, so now I'm going to take my stuff and leave." She says, "That's my son's console. Thief!" She was about to start screaming thief when another customer chimed in, saying something like, "Lady, it's not yours." She noticed all the faces staring at her. I assume she came to her senses because she picked up her son and just left. I grabbed everything, put it in my bag, and scurried away as fast as I could. To finish my end of the story, I went back home and wrapped the gift. At his birthday, I gave it to my dad, and he was so happy he cried. I got the right one. He was so ecstatic I found the right one, and the only time I had ever seen him happier was in video games of his wedding day and my birth. I didn't get my own gift, but seeing my dad's face when he saw that I had gotten him a gift and I had listened and cared about him was worth more than any game console I could buy. I think it's important that I say something about this whole experience. When I talked to this mom, I didn't see a nasty, evil, one-dimensional demon who was just the scum of the earth. This mom was in a frantic panic, and when she said I stole her son's console, I think she truly believed she was trying to do the right thing for her son. Not that this is any reason for behavior like this, but in the moment I wasn't able to see that this was a person who was a single mother just trying to find a game she couldn't afford and would make her son happy. In life it's important to remember that everyone has their own story, and it's important to remember in the end we're all human, even though some people don't act like it sometimes. I hope I don't run into her or anyone like that again, but I do wish the mom found a gift for her son and they were able to celebrate his birthday happily, just like I got to with my dad. Whew, well, that story took a bit of a wholesome turn. It's getting a little too happy in here. I think we need more stories about negative people to bring us back down. But yeah, it's always funny when people use the excuse like, "I gave you money for it, that means the deal was made." Okay, you could just go throw a $5 bill in someone's hand and take anything they own then. Alright, well we got a pretty quick question today. What are some, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this, moments at your job? I worked retail and had to sticker hundreds of items of clothing with little black sales stickers. Just as I'm finishing up, I'm told they changed their mind and wanted me to use red stickers instead. So I went back over every item with the red stickers. It was also a public holiday in Australia, so I was paid 2.5 times my average pay, and spent about 6 hours of my shift doing just that. Hey, the color of the sales stickers can be very important, you know. I was a photojournalist, getting paid to sit on the sidelines of major sporting matches, at the sound desk or in the pit of bands from AC/DC to ZZ Top, meet all sorts of interesting people and create a photo to help tell their story. I photographed John Cleese during a sound check. He went on a 20-minute rant about photographers. I had to ask him to stop as I was laughing so hard I couldn't take pictures. I met Jackie Stewart and heard him speak about his time as a Formula One driver. It was an amazing job, and one I was very lucky to do for as long as I did. Some days I would think, some people would pay to be able to do this. There were crap days too. Sitting in a hot sun at a murder scene all day. Watching police bag evidence sucks. As does attending car crashes in the middle of the night, in the rain. But I remember the good days better than the bad ones. Well yeah, everybody kind of dreams of having like a hobby job. But unfortunately very few people actually get those spots. In a past job, albeit a low-paid one, I got to help raise a baby sea otter, and one day I had the task of combing and fluffing up her fur to keep her waterproof and help her float. I was literally being paid to groom an adorable baby otter. I mean, if there's a market for it, just take the option. Right freaking now, I work in a call center for a government body here in the UK. Since February, I've been paid £12 an hour to just freaking sit here and do nothing. I have taken personally, myself, since February, 6 calls. But man, I am bored. Man, I've had so many jobs like this where your workload is so low that you're just like, I could do like 3 jobs at once if I really wanted to. I work 8 hours a day. I actually work 20 minutes to half an hour of that. I read Reddit most of the day. Now, what if Reddit was your job? But yeah, like I was just saying, it's so amazing just how much more efficient we possibly could be. Like, imagine if we could actually put all of our time to good use. We could be making like 5 times as much. I lifeguarded for 3 years, so a lot. When it gets rainy and everyone leaves the pool, they normally keep us around just in case it clears up. We watch TV and raid the snack bar. We play in the pool sometimes and blast music on the speakers. Having a party with a bunch of cute girl lifeguards while getting paid by the hour equals not a bad gig. Yeah, there's some jobs where it's like, the work part of it can be pretty intense, but then there's just a lot of downtime where you just get to sit around and relax. I mean, I've mentioned before, I've worked a lot of jobs, and YouTube is probably one of the more difficult jobs I've worked. Not just because every job I've worked is kind of like entry level, but it's actually pretty hard to stay motivated and be like self-employed. I mean, I've made pretty close to about 200 videos just this year, so it's a lot of self-discipline. But the one job I can really relate to this question the most of how am I getting paid for this is, so I'd been working the graveyard security job for a while, and then like a bunch of us moved over to a new company and started up. I mean, I wasn't part of like the founders, but I was like their first employee. And for probably the first 6 months or so, we only had like one location that we were watching, and it was always very quiet. Like, I rarely had to do anything. So I was on this computer with 6 monitors. I had like maybe 2 of them open for like work-related things. And then I'd be like playing Overwatch or WoW just all night while watching a movie. And I'd be like, man, this job is just like it being at home. But of course, over time, it did start to get a much bigger workload, but I always look back at those first few months, and it was a pretty fun time. But anyways, hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
No, I'm not. I promise.
I'm going to drink the rest of it.
I really do. I promise. I will not roll on it. I really will not.
I don't know why I'm getting excited. We all know he's going to drop the
Hold on.
which isn't useful anything. And besides, it's mass removed.
Aw, it's all gone. Sorry.